Last week talked about the extreme need for the Minnesota Vikings to no longer rely on just culture and inspiration to make a playoff run. That at some point, you just have to be better at football compared to your opponent, as this video is brought to you by BetUS Sportsbook and Casino. What do they have going for them right now? They've got playmakers on offense. They've got edge rushers. They've got linebackers. They have an elite left tackle that can hopefully stay healthy moving forward, has yet to play a full season. They also have one of the better right tackles in the league, albeit this was a very down year for him. But you trust that Brian O'Neill will bounce back in 2025. They also have a quarterback on a rookie contract. And I get it. During his rehab process, he got skinny and the footage got shown. Oh my God, is he going to get back to where he needs to be strength-wise? I'm not worried about it. OTA starts in late April, so McCarthy will have 3 months to get back to his football shape, what he was before undergoing rehab. And I promise you folks, now that he's back to on-field training, this training staff will get him right. Every morning, he's going to have steak, eggs, potatoes, and every dinner, he's going to have chicken and rice. He will be fine. But that leaves the other positions that need upgrading, talking about the starters. And based off of the volume of upgrades that you need, it is impossible to fill all of those needs in one offseason. It's going to take a couple of years, 2 or 3 at least. But you got to start somewhere. If you want to get in shape, you got to eat right and exercise. If you want to switch career paths, you got to prepare yourself with the proper skills and education. Whatever goals that you want to achieve, you cannot reach those desired results without doing the necessary work. You want to get to the next level as a football team at the quarterback position, the most important position in all of sports. I believe you're set with JJ McCarthy. The most important factor is controlling the line of scrimmage. It's time that Vikings leadership accepts the fact that you will never be in the conversation of being a true contender, thinking that you can out-scheme the poor talent that you have on the offensive line and defensive line. You say you want to win? Well, now's your time to show it through purposeful and aggressive improvements in the trenches. Talked about last week what I believe would be the best path to take in free agency, signing Milton Williams on the defensive line, upgrading the center position from Bradbury to Drew Dahlman from the Falcons, and if possible, also bringing in an upgrade at one of the guard positions, Will Freeze from the Indianapolis Colts. Spending big money on corners and safeties while at the same time skimping on linemen, or all right, let's just add one lineman total for an upgrade, the undesired results will only continue. And you'll have no one else to blame but yourselves. And I talked about this last night on Purple Parlor, the Vikings show I do with Rap and SK, that all of the big money spending that you plan on doing, the high investments that you plan on doing in free agency needs to be primarily focused on improving the trenches as much as you can. So that means that you may have to say goodbye to free agents such as Byron Murphy Jr. or Cam Bynum. You might have to dead ass. As long as you improve the offensive line and defensive lines, you might have to legit run that defense, specifically the secondary, with corners like Mekhi Blackman, Dwight McGlothern, and at safety, Theo Jackson. And if Hitman decides to retire, all right, Josh Metellus, the versatile player that you are for 2025 going to play exclusively at the safety position. And I understand the pushback that may come from this. Hey, DJ Reed, talented corner, Charvarius Ward, we need corners, damn it. Even if it costs a little bit of extra dough than we want to spend. Well, I'll tell you what, I've seen this long enough for, I want to say, at least 7, 8 years, maybe 10 years, that I would rather the Vikings flip the script, that they go patchwork on the perimeter instead of patchwork on the inside. It's like, come on, man, do we want to win or not? And going to the draft, you got to hit on picks 24 and 97. The 2 5th-round picks, it's whatever. But standing pat, we're going to go through 2 different scenarios here. Say the Vikings stay put at 24, no trade downs. After several simulations on multiple mock draft simulators, three interesting names keep showing up consistently available at pick 24. Two defensive linemen and one interior offensive lineman. The 2D lineman, Derek Harmon from Oregon, listed at 6'5", 310 pounds, and Walter Nolan from Ole Miss, 6'4", 290. The interior offensive lineman, Tyler Booker, guard from Alabama, 6'5", 350 pounds. That's a big boy right there. And at pick 97 in the third round, going for an O lineman or a D lineman, at that point, I think you'll be reaching the best prospects, the best possible turnouts that you can have in this draft class are going to be in the first two rounds. And the Vikings, they don't have a second round pick. So you may have to go at pick 97, best player available. Mason Taylor, tight end from LSU. Kevin Winston Jr., safety from Penn State. Denzel Burt, cornerback from Ohio State. Or Dalen Everett, cornerback from Georgia. And then for scenario 2, this may not come off popular right away, but it could work out in the long run for the Vikings. Trade down for an even lower first round pick, but getting a second, which means that you're going to have to give up 97. So instead of a first and a third, you end up with a lower first, but also a second. And for this example, I'm going to use the Buffalo Bills because that seems like the best trade partner to approach because they have 2 seconds and no thirds. So 24 and 97 for 30 and 62. 62 being the worst of their 2 second round picks. In this scenario, at pick 30, I really like Donovan Jackson, the guard out of Ohio State, 6'4", 320 pounds. Just all beef. And at pick 62, based off of the multiple simulators that I've done, you got 2 choices. More often than not, Alfred Collins, D tackle from Texas, 6'5", 313 pounds, or Omar Norman Lott, D tackle from Tennessee, 6'2", 335 pounds. We're going to get to the overall ultimate offseason plan, in my humble opinion. But first, new customers at BetUS Sportsbook and Casino get a 150% bonus on your first deposit up to $2,000. Promo code YouTube150. And now for the ultimate offseason plan, in my humble opinion. Restructure Brian O'Neill, cut Garrett Bradbury, cut Ed Ingram. You'll have over $70 million to spend. Sign Drew Dahlman and Milton Williams, and also, if possible, Will Freeze. If you want to address running back in free agency, Najee Harris, I don't think he's going to command much, or obviously go after a running back in the 5th round just as an insurance policy. But I would like to take a 1-year flyer vet minimum on Nick Chubb. I know it's been 2 years since he's been healthy, but when he's healthy, he's a beast. And for right now, at this very moment, I like the idea of trading down if and only if you still have a low first round pick as well as a second. That way you can maximize value in having 2 impact starters right away. Add a guard and a defensive tackle through the draft. And in the 5th round, talking about especially if you sign Nick Chubb to a 1-year vet minimum deal, I like DJ Giddens from K-State. You go from skinny-ass Steve Rogers to Captain America at the line of scrimmage. The interior defensive line, you added 2 upgrades to play alongside Harrison Phillips. And 2 out of 3, possibly all 3 positions, if you can also sign Will Freeze, of course. But possibly all 3 positions being upgraded in the interior offensive line. At least 2. Corners and safeties in 2025, we'll do the best we can and get on by. We'll address it in 2026. Thanks to the folks at BetUS Sportsbook and Casino. We'll see you next time.